Before we can dive into the United States Constitution, which is currently law of the land today, we should briefly go over the first attempt to unify the states. The Articles of Confederation served as the first written constitution of the United States, functioning from 1781 to 1789. It established a national government for the newly independent states, but one designed to be deliberately weak. The Articles created a confederation described in the document as a firm league of friendship among sovereign states, where the central authority depended heavily on state cooperation. The system created by the Articles was intentionally minimal, reflecting the colonists' fear of centralized power after breaking away from Great Britain. The national government consisted of a single body, the Congress of the Confederation, which combined legislative and limited executive functions. There was no separate executive branch with independent authority, and no national judiciary to interpret laws or resolve disputes among states. Although Congress elected a president of the Congress, this position was strictly ceremonial and not an executive office. The office merely served as a chairman to maintain order when deliberating. The Articles placed supreme authority in the individual states. Article 2 declared, each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence, and every power, jurisdiction, and right, which is not by this confederation expressly delegated to the United States and Congress assembled. This meant that any power not explicitly assigned to the national government automatically remained with the states. Each state, regardless of population or size, had one vote in Congress. Delegates were chosen and could be recalled at any time by their state legislatures, reinforcing that their loyalty was to their state, not to a national constituency. Congress could request money from the states, but had no power to enforce payment. As a result, the government struggled to pay soldiers, fund operations, or service national debt. Congress could not regulate interstate trade or foreign commerce. States often imposed tariffs on one another and issued their own competing currencies, contributing to the economic instability. With no executive branch, Congress could pass laws but had no mechanism to enforce them. States frequently ignored national decisions and policies. Major laws required approval from 9 of the 13 states. Amendments required unanimous consent, making practical reform almost impossible. In fact, no amendment to the Articles was ever successfully adopted. The government's limited authority created chronic problems and ultimately led to the Articles' replacement. The shortcomings of the national government were dramatically revealed during Shays' Rebellion from 1786 to 87, when debt-ridden farmers in Massachusetts rose up against the state authorities. The Confederation Congress lacked both funds and the authority to assist Massachusetts, forcing the state to raise its own militia to restore order. This failure convinced many leaders that a stronger national government was necessary. Despite its weakness, the Articles-era government achieved several significant accomplishments. The Confederation Congress, building on earlier Continental Congress, coordinated the war effort against Great Britain and helped secure America's independence. It negotiated the Treaty of Paris in 1783, which formally ended the Revolutionary War and granted the United States substantial Western territory. Although other peoples lived in this Western territory who had no say at the time, it was an achievement in that it at least removed any claims on this territory by all other powers in Great Britain and Europe. In addition, Congress passed 2 landmark laws. The Land Ordinance of 1785 established a system for surveying and selling Western lands. The Northwest Ordinance of 1787 created a process for admitting new states on equal footing with the original 13 and prohibited slavery in the Northwest Territory. These ordinances became some of the most enduring achievements of the Confederation period. In conclusion, the Articles of Confederation provided an essential first framework of national government, guiding the United States through the Revolutionary War and its intermediate aftermath. However, its structural weakness, particularly the lack of taxing power, executive authority, and effective national control, made the system unworkable in the long term. These problems led to the Constitutional Convention of 1787, where the delegates replaced the Articles with the U.S. Constitution and created a stronger federal system capable of addressing the needs of a growing nation.